we are going to go into the Grand Alliance of Death. We will start out, and like I said, in each faction we'll be going out against each army or go through each of the armies. We try to keep them grouped up so that we don't have to keep re-explaining what particular items do, particularly when certain armies repeat the same sort of artifacts chosen, command abilities and everything like that. So first list we'll be going into is with Michael Wills. So Michael Wills is taking the Flesh Eater Courts. He has taken the subfaction of Morgant. The Morgant means that the rerolls of one for courtiers within 12 inches of serfs or serf bounders. Basically get to reroll them. Grand strategy spell cutting savant, as you'll probably see quite often, is keeping your Antorian Locust General alive, so your Wizard General. In this, though, he has then gone on to take an Abhorrent Archregent as his general. He has Nagash in his list. He also has the Cryptghast Courtier. For his battle line, 20 Crypt Ghouls, 20 Crypt Ghouls, and once again 20 Crypt Ghouls. And then just to add a little bit of flair, 20 Royal Beast Flayers. Coming in with a battle regiment and choosing to take the Umbral Spell Portal as well. He's one drop with 2,000 points. Now, the one thing to pick up on this one is the command trait for the Archregent means that he gets to reroll hits of 1 if within 12 inches of serfs. That's the Ghouls and the Beast Flayers in this instance. And his artifact is Decrepit Coronet, which means he does not take battle shot if he's wholly within 18 inches of the general, which in this instance he is a general. Oh no, sorry, the units do not take a battle shock if wholly within 18 inches of the general. Makes more sense, totally. He's taking the Hawthorne spell. We won't explain what a Hawthorne spell is because I'm sure you guys are aware of it. It's one of the new Antorian spells that come along which allows you to adjust the stats. Jason, with Nagash in the list and our first Flesh Eater Courts, what do you think?
I'm surprised at how many Crypt Ghouls you can get in the list. So you've got 60 there. Running through all the rules and everything, we'll do it in a minute, but if I remember right, yeah, you can bring in another 20 Crypt Ghouls from the Archregent, just as a command ability once per battle, and they buff up really, really well. I think it's going to be a list that's things are going to die, but then things are just going to get all sorts of comeback and all sorts. But it's all about keeping the heroes with the Crypt Ghouls.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing to mention with the Flesh Eater Course, I would say as well, is that they have got the new War Scroll rebuilds, so they will be using those rules in these armies. Anything else you want to say there, Jason?
Nothing horrifically, so apart from just there's lots of interesting buffs for this army. Not so many debuffs for it, but Crypt Ghouls can go up to something, if I'm reading it right, something like 6 or 7 attacks per model if they're buffed to the maximum. So you're going to get hits through from them at the thing. Just the weight of dice is going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
But everything has to go right to get that working.
Of course. Also, we need to take into account as well the Beast Flayers as well. They can stop monsters doing monstrous rampages if they're within 3 inches of the unit. And also, the damage is reduced by 1 by the monster's attacks and everything. The Archregent himself, he can heal 3 wounds in his hero phase. He has his own spell called Ferocious Hunger, casting value of 6, 24-inch range. And the effect is you pick 1 unit, roll d3 and add the roll to the attacks characteristic of your melee weapons until your next hero phase. Guess who he's going to probably be doing that on? He also has a command ability that once per battle he can bring in 1 courtier, 3 knights, or 20 Crypt Ghouls. So like Jason's saying, chance to bring in some more as well. So there's a couple of options that he has there to kind of reinforce his forces and also make them a little bit stronger. We will also cover the BCP rankings. Jason does this with all of our lists where he goes in and he tracks down the individuals. In this instance, we couldn't find Michael Wills on the BCP rankings, suggesting he may either be new or he may be under a different name. But in this instance, Jason, unless you have anything else you wanted to say at all?
Not really. You mentioned Umbral Spell Portal for Nagash.
Oh, Umbral Spell Portal, yeah, that's true. So watch out for his old little finger going through it, where he could potentially do his killing blow in 1 strike. That always scares me. Happened to me a couple of times throughout my matches against people. But yeah, Michael Wills, good luck. We are now moving on to Benjamin Anderson. He is actually one of us in the Rusty Nukes group, and he's taking the Nighthawk faction, which actually goes to show, if I'm right, Jason, there's only one FEC player. Is that right?
One FEC player.
Yeah, only one FEC player. So we're going into Benjamin Anderson. Like I said, he's gone with Nighthorn and he's gone with Emerald Host, which means that before the first battle round, he gets to choose D3+1 enemy units. At the end of every battle round, he rolls a dice for each of those units, and on a 2+, they suffer D3 mortals. And if he chooses a monster, they actually suffer D3+1 mortals, which doesn't sound a lot, but can add up. As once again, I've experienced it myself. It can be quite painful. His grand strategy, though, he's gone with fight or flight. Basically, when the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if sorry, what's that, Jason? Four or more objectives are being contested by friendly Nighthorn units, and there are no enemy units within 6 inches of any friendly Nighthorn units that are contesting an objective. So in this instance, yes, basically, this is a hard one, I expect, for Ben, owing to the fact that come turn 5, if he is forced to go first, the enemy could potentially go in and stop a grand strategy, but still, it's grand strategy for Nighthorn. In his leaders, he has got the Guardian of Souls as his general, taking the Master of Magic as his command trait. He then also has the Midnight Tome as his artifact of power, and then he's chosen the Hoarfrost. He's got a Lord Executioner, Krulgast Cruciator, Kurdos Valentine, and a Spirit Torment. Now with his battle line, he has got the Grimghast Reapers going in there, Hex Race, Chain Rasp, and some Craven Throne Guard. That's right, the Boo Shooters are out. And then in the back there, he's then bringing the Black Coach armed with the Reaper Scythe. He has got the Warlord Battalion and a Battle Regiment, and has taken the Mortalis Terminexus as his endless spell. Standing in at 2,000 points on the nose and a 5-drop. He has played in tournaments before, we are aware of that, but we can't find his BCP ranking because we think it's probably been too long and it's kind of nudged him out of the BCP rankings. But Jason, we know Ben. What do you think of his list?
It's a technical list. Things you need to have certain people next to certain heroes and stuff to get the buffs and everything off. But knowing Ben, he's good at that. He's very, very, very sort of detailed, so he will be able to keep everything where they need to be, make sure distances and stuff. There's a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite scary how much you can get in a Nighthaunt list.
Well, also, with the recent point drops and whatnot, it's kind of helping them out. Clearly, it's going to help them out and whatnot. And Ben's not the only one. We know we've got a couple more lists coming up for Nighthaunt. So clearly, they're an option to be taking now. With the Master of Magic as well there, that's kind of reinforcing his capability of getting those spells off. The Midnight Tome is an auto-cast for an endless spell. No unbinding allowed when he does that. So that's pretty good. Plus with his Krulgast Cruciator with the Pendant of Fell Wind, that's a -1 to wound for enemies within 3 inches of him. And you want to be getting that Cruciator in there to actually start laying out the damage. His Guardian of Souls has a 12-inch bubble of +1 to wound. And he can also do a spell himself, which is a D6 heal, or return a model. Its casting value is 6 with a 24-inch range. The Lord Executioner also has a -1 to one enemy unit when he's in combat with them. And considering he comes in with 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, -2 Ren for 2 damage, nothing to sniff at. Admittedly, that's standard kind of hero ability, but the -1 to wound for one enemy unit in combat with him gives him a little bit of versatility. The other thing I think is also to take into consideration here is the Craven Throne Guard. The shooting ignores terrain, for one, and also enemy units don't benefit from cover rule. So we haven't really seen them since they've been released, to be honest, but their points have been slowly dropping, and in this instance, Ben is seeing some possibility with them. The Mortalis Terminexus as well has the ability to either heal D3 or cause D3 on a 2-up after it moves. So also some little chip damage here and there. I think this could potentially do all right. What about you? What do you think, Jason?
I think, like I said, knowing the person that's running it as well, I think this could do very well. I don't know what else to say about this one. I love this spell. I just feel like this one could just be so much on the board that I think you'll be struggling to get through it, especially with Ethereal as well. So ignoring Rend, basically. It does make a big difference.
Absolutely. Now, just to also point out before we kind of move on, those Green Grass Reapers are reinforced as well. So, like Jason said, that's a lot of models in there. Ben, though, good luck, mate. We will be rooting for you, I'm sure. We're now moving on to Scott Baker. For some reason, we haven't put Nighthaunt in his army faction, but as you can see from the image, he is. His sub-faction is the Emerald Host. So exactly like before with Ben, and also he's taking Fight or Flight, so exactly the same setup for Scott on this one. He's also taking a Guardian of Souls with the command trait Shaman of the Chilled Lands, which means he gets to know all of the Antorian spells in the lore. He's also taking the Midnight Tone, allowing him to do the auto casting of an endless spell with no unbinding allowed. And he's also taken the Seal of Shaiish as a spell from the Lord of the Underworlds. He also has Lady Alinda in here, a Spirit Torment armed with the Arcane Tome, go with the good old oldies, or Witch the Drowner, and Lady Annika as an ally with the Thirsting Blade, Battle line, he's gone with 6 Spirit Hosts, 20 Grimgrass Reapers, 10 Chain Rasps, and also 10 Craven Throne Guard. With a Warlord Battalion and Antorian Acolytes, he's also taken the Purple Sun, or Purple Fun, of Shaiish, and the Aether Void Pendulum. Coming in with 2,000 points on the nose, so no Triumph option there, a 10 drop. And his BCP ranking is 3248, meaning he has got some experience on the board here. This has some potential. Jason, your thoughts?
It's all of these, from what I remember, that all the Nighthaunts are very similar, sort of builds, sort of thing. Slight differences, but very similar builds. The Seal of Shaiish, you didn't get around to that one, but that's a 5+ ward on a unit, the spell. So it makes them even more tanky. Once again, I think it's going to be a good list. I don't know how to take Nighthaunt. I really don't. I think they're so easy to kill, but also really hard to kill and keep down.
I think when they get their charges off, if they get their charges off, then those buffs that they get, they can actually accumulate and add up. So they do have that opportunity. Like you said, though, if they're on the reverse of that, sometimes they just can't take the overwhelming power hit from other armies, particularly the newer armies. So yes, also you've got to consider as well though, Lady Olinda's coming in with Spectral Tether. That's casting value of 4, and that's a hero teleport spell. So that gives her some versatility. Also, Lady Annika coming in as an ally on this one. This is this is a curious one. I've not actually seen it done before, but I expect that Scott has some plan in mind with her on the board. The one thing we did, the one thing I will point out as we're going through the list, we did pick up the errors throughout, and we have made them aware to Russell. And I believe he has gone out to those individuals who just made corrections. So at the time of writing these slides, we'd taken them as they were from the list. The one thing we do need to point out that in this instance, it's a minor thing, but for his Warlord Battalion, Scott, if you are watching, you just need to select when your battle line to be part of that Warlord Battalion. Jason, any thoughts, any further thoughts you want to say before we move on this one?
Nothing else, really.
No.
Just good luck. I said I'd like to actually fight Nighthaunt. Something a bit different. Don't see him often.
No, exactly. Scott, good luck with this one. Moving on to a firm favourite in the UK TCC and tournaments just in general, we have Dave Carter. He's bringing in his Nighthaunt, and he's going with the Emerald Host. so just like before. But this time he's gone with the grand strategy of Overshadow. So Overshadow means that he has to kill all enemy battle line and keep at least one of his battle line alive by the end of the game. In this instance, he has got the Guardian of Souls as his general, once again the Shaman of the Chilled Lands. He has also then gone with the artifact of the Light Shard of the Harvest Moon, and then he's taken the Spectral Tether spell, which once again is the casting value 4 with the hero teleporting option. He then has another Guardian of Souls in his army, this time with the Shameless spell. He has the Wielder of the Blade. That's a different one. He has a Krulgast Cruciator and a Spirit Torment to finish off his leaders. He then has 5 Hexwraiths, 20 Grimghast Reapers, 20 Grimghast Reapers, a Black Coach armed with the Reaper Scythe, 4 Mirmorn Banshees, 3 Headsman Curse, and 2 Chainghasts. And then he's gone all out on the battalions on this one. He's got Antorian Acolytes out there. He's got a Battle Regiment to reduce his count, and also the Wizard Finders of Antor. Coming in at 1990 with a 6-drop, he has a global BCP ranking of 1262, so pretty damn good on that one. Anything to point out on this one, I would say, is that, Jason, do we have the detail on the Light Shard of the Harvest Moon at all? So I
just found that one.
Okay,
it's
brilliant.
A once per battle ability that gives you, in the combat phase, +1 attack to Nighthaunt units wholly within 12 of the bearer.
Nice. Okay. Excellent.
Really quite nice. Really nice.
As we know, like the Windfinders of Antor, the units that go in, they get +1 attack on their melee profile when they target wizard units or models. The Black Coach also has a thing where he can, where he has he has a count where he goes up, kind of counts up on it. Where a dice basically goes against it, and whenever models die or flee within 12 inches, it goes up. Or at 5 to 6 on the dice, the coach gets a 4-up ward save. You can actually use the dice though to make a shooting attack, giving it a 12-inch range, and on the 2-up, the enemy unit it hits suffers 3d3 mortal wounds, and if he does that, the dice then returns back to 1. And the Headman's Curse. Now, this is a unit I've not really heard of myself, but apparently, though, they can make a charge. When they make a charge roll, they make the lowest dice equal the highest dice, so they get to have a little bit of manipulation there. They also get to pick one enemy unit within 12 inches in your hero phase, and basically that enemy unit then has -1 on their dice rolls for charges.
No. It's -1 dice.
Oh, -1 dice. So even further.
If you roll 2 dice, you roll 1.
Yeah, no. Oh, wow. Okay, God. Okay, that is quite a hit on that one. Mirmorn Banshee's coming in, though, to help with the spells. You know, kind of, as I understand it, they can do they can stop any spells coming through. Jason, your thoughts at all?
It's a similar build, but different. It's just got a load of little abilities that really can influence the way the battle goes, and I do like it. I think it'll be a fairly fun list to play against, just because you don't know what's going on every time you do something. Like the -1 dice for charge rolls.
Yeah,
that is stupid but great as well.
It's a great thing. 12-inch, but 12-inch range, so we're nothing. It's not exactly small. It's not 9 or 6 inches here. We're talking 12 inches.
I like it. I really like it. Like I said, it's got a similar sort of thing with the Grimwrath Reapers and everything. Grimghast Reapers, even, sorry. But yeah, I think it. Once again, I want to fight Nighthaunt. I think they're going to be good fun to play against.
Yeah, no, we've actually had someone in the stream just make a couple of comments on this one, which we want that. So please do bring this in, because it helps us out no ends. Dominic Stonebridge is actually so Dominic, thank you so much for joining us in this one. We know you definitely know your stuff. So he's gone on to say though that this list actually can quite comfortably score the 5 battle tactics it wants. The coach apparently has a tactic involved in it, so fantastic. So yeah, it sounds like Dave once again has done his homework with his army, but we know Dave Carter is really good with his army lists. And for a while, I don't know if it's still there, but there was actually a Dave Carter Award at these tournaments. So whether or not there is this time, I can't remember. I don't think there is actually, but
I think it's London Open that goes to, rather
yeah,
than
it's London
UKTC.
Opens. It's London Opens. But yeah, so we know that he's a cracking fella, and he kind of really knows what he's getting on with that one. So Dave, good luck with this one, mate. Good to see you there. Moving on, then we have then got Shane Tapson. He's coming with the Scarlet Doom. So in this instance, for his sub-faction, they basically his Blade Guys Revenants get impact hits on 5+, so mortal wounds when they do their charges. He's gone with the grand strategy of Feed on Terror, which means that one unit has to be terrified at the end of the battle. And with his 1990, he's gone with a Bloodthirsty Triumph. Now this one's quite a short list. He's gone with Nagash. He's put the spell Spirit Drain, but we know that basically he gets all the spells because he's Nagash, the man. He also then has his general with his Cruelgrass Crusader. He's gone with the Eye of the Blizzard, which means that in the hero phase, if your general is on the battlefield, on a 5-up, you gain an extra primal dice. So pretty nice. His artifact as well is once again Light Shard of the Hearth's Moon, which is that 12-inch bubble with +1 melee attack bubble. Then comes in with 20 Revenants, 10 Revenants, 10 Revenants, 3 Spirit Hosts, and 4 Mirmorn Banshees. He's chucking them all into a battle rage, and he's taking the Umbral Spell Portal, because why not when you have Nagash on the board? 1 drop at 1990 with a BCP ranking of 6638. Not a bad list. Jason, your thoughts?
From what we've seen from the previous Nighthaunt, it's much more condensed, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's less things to worry about on the board, as in less things to worry about buffing on the board. And the impact hits on the 5+ don't sound like much, but then when you're playing with Nighthaunt, they really do add up. Nagash is Nagash. Simple as that. He's going to basically outcast pretty much everyone you can. He's going to finger people and just kill them outright.
He's going to use his finger. Use his finger on people. Yes.
Use his finger. Yeah. Sorry.
Instantly get demonetized. Not that we actually make money from it. But yes, I go.
I like it. I think it's a nice little list. One thing I would say is his grand strat is interesting.
Yeah.
So having that one unit terrified at the end of the battle, all it takes is the opponent to go second in the 5th turn just to retreat everything out.
Yeah. I think you're well enough. And that's the one thing we'll see with some of these grand strategies as we go through the lists. Some of them are managed by yourselves, and some of them can be easily turned off by the opponent. So, yeah. Now, the one thing I will say, because we've just come to the last Nighthaunt list here, some of the spells that you may see come out of these army lists, you have Soul Cage, which has like casting value of 7 and a range of 12 inches. The effect is Strike Blast on an enemy unit, so pretty nice. He has the Spirit Drain, once again casting value of 7, 18-inch range. You choose an enemy unit, you roll a number of dice for the enemy models, and for each 6 they suffer mortal wound. Life Stealer is also available, casting value of 7, 12-inch range. Basically, once again, an enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, and for each wound that unit suffers, you will then get to heal a wound back. So pretty nice for someone like Nagash if he's taking a bit of a pounding. We've talked about Sealed Shaiish, which is the 5-up ward. Shade Mist has a casting value of 6 and a range of 12 inches. And basically, you choose one friendly unit and it's a -1 to wound them when they have it on them. And of course, we've spoken about Spectral Tether, which is the hero teleport. So yeah, coming in though on our final list on this one, I think this has options. I think Shane might struggle at times with his units. Like if they get charged, can quite easily get cleared off. I know. Am I right in saying Nagash can bring back some of the models, Jason? Would that be right?
Yeah, he does have a healing ability to return models, so kill the whole unit rather than damage it. As an OBR player, I know that.
Testify. Yeah. So on this one, I think Shane has opportunities here, but at the same time, might possibly struggle with against a particular enemies. Shane, though, good luck with this one as we move off this one and go to that faction that we all love, guys. That's right, we're bringing in the OBR. Now, as we all aware, OBR took a bit of a slapping in the last Battle Scroll update. Points were pushed, rules were changed, and as a consequence, we are seeing some changes in the lists. Benjamin Flutter is our first fella, though, to bring out his OBR. He's gone with a sub-faction of Null Myriad. So, as we all know, this is a 2+ spell ignore for Null Myriad units whilst they're wholly within 9 inches of a Mortis-Stand hero. He's gone with the grand strategy of spellcasting Savant because why not? Your OBR and those generals generally do stay alive. And as he's at a 1980, he's gone with the Inspired Triumph. For his list, he has Catacross. He has a Mortison Bone Shaper with the Artisan's Key, and he has a Mortison Soulmason as his general with the Dark Acolyte command trait. 30 Mortek Guard, 6 Immortus Guard, 5 Cathalos Death Riders, and 1 Harvester to give the supporting morale for those Mortek Guard, with a Battle Regiment 1981 drop. And Benjamin sits at number 80 in the BCP global rankings. So he's not a fella to be messed with. Now, Jason, you are our OBR expert. Would you like to go through the details on all these little pieces on this one?
Sure. So, Catacross. At 500 points, I still think he's worth it for what he does to the army. He produces a bubble that gives +1 to hit, a 24-inch bubble, sorry, that gives +1 to hit, +1 to save. He can pretty hurt little units, but the second he gets near a hero, that hero's dead. Yeah. Simple as that. He fights at a special bracket that just basically wipes anything off the board, any heroes off the board. He has other things like he can give -1 to hit to another enemy unit on the board once per. Well, in your hero phase, it lasts to your next hero phase. Still worth it for 500, but I think he's getting towards the top end of worth it now.
Right.
He can heal 3 units, 3 models within, I think it's a 24-inch bubble. But now with the new rules, he can bring back Immortus Guard, but you bring him back with 1 wound remaining, which is reasonable. I'll say it's reasonable because bringing back Immortus Guard at full health was always overpowered, even though it is rather annoying.
You say?
Yeah, I used to run 12 Immortus Guard, so whatever. Bone Shaper has a healing ability for 1 unit. The Artisan's Key means on a 3-up you can heal again. Can be the same unit, can be a different unit. Only 6-inch range on that though. And a 1-cast wizard. Soul Mason, 2-cast wizard with Lawmaster. The command trait Dark Acolyte is a nice one. The first spell you cast from the OBR lore, cannot be unbound. Simple as that. It's really quite a nice little one. Levitate is an interesting spell for this army, but he knows what he's doing. He's, like I said, he's ranking 80, so he knows what he's doing. I wonder what it does for this army. And then he's making a build that I actually was thinking about before I switched, which we'll talk about later, which is 30 more Tech Guard. Now they've gone down in price. That's actually pretty decent. 6 Immortus Guard, well, they don't die. Death Riders, always fun for a bit of speed around the army. And the Harvester. I really do think that they nerfed the Harvester's healing ability, but with 30 more Tech Guard, you've still got to get through 30 more Tech, which is, as standard, a 4-up save. But easily can be 4+ Ethereal, 3+, you can give him a 5-up ward save instead of a 6-up ward save. There's so many things you can do. A 30 block won't go very far, especially with the healing from the other guys. The only thing I will say about this list is he knows what he's doing, so he's got a plan here. The Soul Mason being the general, when you've got to keep him alive. He's a couple more wounds than the Bone Shaper, but his chair counts as a mount, so he doesn't benefit from the can't be shot outside of 12.
Oh, the lookout circle,
yeah. So I would possibly have put it on the Bone Shaper, but that's me. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, he's got a lot better ranking than me, so there's something there that I'm not seeing.
No, absolutely.
I like it.
Jason and I both have experience on this one. Jason has run OBR himself, and I have been the victim of his army being run many times. And also the tournaments, I always seem to fall upon these even before they had a new book. The rules updates, like Gitley said in the chat and everything, was the slapping enough? He doesn't think so. It's going in the right direction, in my opinion. The idea that the healing has been, hit hard for this army for what it was, really will kind of determine. I expect here at the LGT just how many people continue running OBR afterwards. Like Jason said, though, 30 more take guard there, nothing to be sniffed at. They are pretty strong for a battle line option. And when those Immortus Guard and Catacross do get into combat, great. The Death Riders can help with an easy battle tactic there. And the Harvester, even though it has been nerfed, will keep those Mortec going. It's what you kind of would expect for an OBR army. And unless you've got anything else to say about it, Jason?
Nope.
No.
Good luck. Always happy for an OBR win.
We will then move on to the next list. In this one, we're then with Harvey Hassell. He's also got Null Myriad and Spellcasting Savant as his sub-faction and grand strategy. And we're looking at a very similar list in this one. We're looking at Catacross, Mortis and Bone Shaper, once again with the Artisan Key. Mortis and Soul Mason taking as a general. This one, he's actually got the Aura of Sterility, which is a -1 hit and -1 to wound for missile weapons. That's a 12-inch bubble around him, giving that aura. And then he's got Empower Nature Weapons as his spell. Now, he's actually stuck to his guns on this one, and he's gone with 2 sets of Immortus Guard and a set of Necropolis Stalkers. And then he's taken 2 sets of Death Riders. And then he actually has a Harvester in there. Now, there's no Mortec to take account onto this one. But still, he's gone with a Battle Regiment, so it's a 1-drop, 2k on the nose, with a BCP ranking of 4427. Jason, your thoughts, because that Harvester being in there is a bit of a surprise.
I'll come to that in a second. Let's go from the front. Catacross, the same. Bone Shaper, the same. Soul Mason. The Aura of Sterility is interesting as a command trait. He's chosen the Empower Naderite Weapons spell, but Soul Mason is now a Lore Master, so he knows all the spells, so he could have chosen a generic spell to take over it.
Yeah.
So he would already know all of those. The Immortus Guard, there are 2 lots of 3 Immortus Guard, rather than previous list was a 6, and 3 Stalkers. Immortus Guard keep things alive, Bodyguard, Stalkers kill things. 2 lots of Death Riders. It provides much needed speed in the army. The Harvester, although I always used to use Harvester with Mortex, it seemed to make sense. It doesn't just benefit the Mortec. You can bring back other things as well, but it is an interesting addition to the army.
Mm-hmm. It's a monster, so it's not, and it has got punching potential. When it's in there,
it's not that expensive.
No, exactly. It is a monster. It does have a bit of a whack to it. I know everyone kind of uses it just for that kind of, it can bring back Mortec and so on and so forth. But when it does get in combat, to a certain extent, it can hold its own. It's quite interesting to see that. Also, like I said, with the Death Riders as well, that's a battle tactic. If you want to try and get within 6 inches of the board edges, that can help out a lot on that one. And like you said, you've also got the 2 sets of Immortus Guard there, potentially splitting out the ability to bodyguard the heroes. And then the Necropolis Stalkers, when they're done right, okay, it's only 3 of them, but they can also put out some damage when they want to. Any thoughts on this one at all, Jason?
It's a lot of the OBR lists you'll see are very, very similar. I would question the dropping Immortus Guard in 2 blocks of 3 does make him a bit more vulnerable, but then technically you can heal both units instead of just the one.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see how it works as a block of 3, because that's 15 wounds on with his bubble 2+ save.
Yeah.
They can be taken down. When you get to the 6th block at 30 wounds, that's when they just go, you're just not getting through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I would like to see how the 2 theories would work, and also what he does with the Harvester.
Yeah,
I feel like Yeah.
No, absolutely.
want them on a
This is a
harvest
very
somehow.
this is a slightly different list to what we've seen. Although to be honest, I think we'll see with OBR there'll be a lot of list teching now to try and find that perfect balance, and this may be one direction that people potentially go in going forward. Harvey, though, good luck with that one. It'll be interesting to see how you do. We're now going to move on to Archie Robinson. Now, he's actually gone outside of Null Myriad. He's gone with Petrifex Elite, which is a -1 to wound for OBR units with a Hecatos keyword or Harvesters. He's kept with the Spellcasting Savant, though, because why not? It's a good one to go with OBR. He has Catacross. He has a Mortisome Bone Shaper as his general with the Dark Acolyte command trait. He's gone with the Load of Saturation, which is a +1 to ward rolls for the bearer. And then he's gone with the Empowered Mage Rite weapon option. He has got 3 Stalkers, 6 Stalkers, 3 Stalkers. He loves his stalking. 2 Morghast Archive, and then 2 Morghast Harbingers. Once again, keeping it easy and simple. He's gone with a Battle Regiment for 1-drop, 2,000 points on the nose, and with a global BCP ranking of 6-1-8-1, nothing to sniff at. Jason, I know this is once again a slight change in what we've seen before, but for a heavy push on the Stalkers and Morghast, what are your thoughts?
I think it is a very fighty army, whereas the other ones are going to be a lot more attrition based and basically keeping things alive. This one, with the Stalkers you've got there, you just want to fly them straight into the enemy, start chopping. There's nothing to be sniffed at. Stalkers are powerful. They can be brought back.
12 of them.
Yeah, 6 and 2 3s. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason he's done that is because they're battle line now, so he needed to fill in 3 slots, I guess. Morghast. I love Morghast. I absolutely love them. I think he has lost something in the previous attempt to them. They had a 3d6 charge. They've lost that, but then now they can deep strike. So similar, but not the same. Love that spell. It's an endless spell. It's just a giant bird. The model's all right.
Hang on, Jason.
But
hang on.
Yep, something's happening.
Yeah.
The screen went blank.
Broadcast has ended, apparently. Oh. Hang on a second, guys. If you are watching, I've just had a message saying the stream has ended. Just checking. Yeah, it's ended. What?
No, I'm seeing it back again now. You're all right. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, are we here? Are we here?
Someone say something. You're back on. Thank you. So
You're back on. Thank you, Gitley. Okay, well that's
thank you.
Really interesting. I'm kind of like here looking at my phone going, what the hell is the stream? And apparently we are back on. So great, cool.
So Solitarian. It's really important this because I love this endless spell. It casting value of 6. It can be put on the board anywhere that's visible to the caster. Simple as that. No range modifications. Any models with a 1 or 2 wound characteristic cannot contest objectives when they're within 6 inches of it. So you sit it on an objective, and literally, it just blocks that from all the small models. It is, I think, really underrated to capture some of those contested objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've considered using it yourself in previous army lists, and I think that ultimately it is one of those that can be used, particularly against armies that only carry 1 or 2 wound models, which, we've got to give it due notice on this one. Most armies are 1 or 2 wound models, apart from the more elite forces. So you could quite quickly start contesting those objectives and stopping people from controlling them, which is the aim of the game at the end of the day. So, I'm surprised we don't see it more often. Any other final thoughts on that one, Jason?
Not really. Just a very elite force. Not a lot of board control, but then they're going to slice up pretty much anything they come to. So
yeah,
it's going to be. It'll be interesting to see where he does. I don't know where he'll become. It could be. I think it's going to be hit or miss. Really good, or just fail completely. Nice. I don't think there's going to be a middle ground for this unit, for this army.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, well, Archie, you are our last OBR list. 3 different lists throughout on the OBRs, so it'll be interesting to see how they actually play out. But Archie, good luck with that one. We are now going to move on to the SBGL, another force that we just all love to see. Once again, this army took quite a bit of a hit with the new Battle Scroll update. So with that in mind, it'll be interesting to see how these ones play out. Benjamin has gone with the Legion of Night, which means that once per turn you can charge in the enemy charge phase. So that is pretty strong, considering OBR get that as an alternative option. But Legion of Night sub-faction, pretty good. Spellcasting Savant, as we already know on that one. He's also gone with a Triumph of Inspired. Now, in this SBL list, he's taken Nagash. He's got Vampire Lord as his general with the Unbending Will, which means that basically models that are summonable count as 2 for objectives instead of 1 if they are wholly within 12 inches of the general. He's gone with Morbeg's Claw, which we have seen time and time again with the artifacts, which basically means that in your hero phase, as long as you're more than 3 inches from enemies, you can essentially carve a sigil into the ground and give a 12-inch, or for wizards that are wholly within, they get a +2 to cast. But if he does that, though, he cannot move, run, retreat, charge until your next hero phase. Essentially, he's stuck in this place. He then also has a Necromancer, with both of them taking spells from the Antor book. And then here we go. I'll say this with a smile. 40 zombies, 20 zombies, 3 Fellbats, 3 Fellbats, and a Corpse Cart helping in with those zombies. He's gone with a Battle Regiment, and he's taken the Umbral Spell Portal and Suffocating Gravetide as Ender spells, 1980, 1 drop, and a global BCP ranking of 362. Jason, do you like this?
I'm going to say this to the stream now. SBGL, I've always been the bane of my life. I actually don't mind fighting them, but I have lost every single game I've ever played against them.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I just don't seem able to overcome this. So, like, zombies, it's nice to see that at least they've reduced the number of zombies taken.
Just
normally using only, I know, but it's still less zombies on the field. Fellbat's just there for a bit of speed and movement. Corpse Cart makes the zombies crazily powerful, in addition to anything else they do. Necromancer, a little hero, a little wizard. Nagash was powerful. Yeah. I always struggle with it.
So, yeah, my personal thoughts on this one is they didn't go far enough with the zombies, with the update. I know with 30 points onto the unit, it's a tick in the right direction, but this is my personal thoughts on this one. I try not to bring it in when we do these list reviews. A chaff unit like zombies should have bodies, and perhaps they should adjust that mortal wound rule. Perhaps like for every 5 that die, you take a mortal wound back, or something along those lines. I don't know what exactly, but a chaff unit like that should not be bouncing out mortal wounds in the levels they are.
Have you read the Corpse Cart rule for it?
No, well, this is it. I was going to get to it. The Corpse Cart adds +1 to casting when the wizards are within 12 inches, and -1 to enemy wizards. But the idea that zombies wholly within 12 inches get to do additional wound, mortal wound if they wound roll on 6. I mean, look, I know we had this with the Squigs. The Squigs had their mortal wound retaliation when they retreated or when they ran away and stuff. Games Workshop jumped on that pretty quickly. The idea of the zombies, though, don't have this adjustment surprises me a lot, but I'm sure Games Workshop know what they're doing. That's my personal opinion. But with this one though, like Colonel Cabbage has said in the feed and everything, Benjamin has potential. He is a good player. He has got 60 zombies on the board. And let's not rule out the idea he's also got Nagash on the board. The Fellbats add maneuverability and versatility to help with those battle tactics. And then he has the capability of keeping the army going. I don't know if you have any further thoughts on this one there, Jason.
I think we've covered everything. Yeah, it's going to be a tough force to put down and keep down.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Benjamin, good luck, sir. I think you will potentially do well. We'll now move on to Mark Tucker. He's once again taken the Legion of Night, so that's fine. His grand strategy is Lust for Domination. So basically, he has to control more graveyards than your opponent. His leaders on this one, he's not taken the Nagash in this instance. No, he has taken 2 Vampire Lords. He's got Manfred, though, in his army. He's got White King as his general with the command trait of the bait. So basically that means in the first battle round he gets +1 to his save and +1 to his ward save. And then he has a Necromancer with once again more base claw, giving the opportunity to both buff his casting. And then he also has 2 spells on there, Merciless Blizzard and Prison of Grief, which is casting value of 6 at 12-inch range, and he gets to pick 1 enemy unit and they get to strike last. Now, if the unmodified casting roll is a 9+, that range is then increased to 24 inches. Battle line on this one, 20 Graveguard, standard unit Direwolves, and then he has some Askurgan Trueblades, which, as we know from previous list reviews, actually have potential. The core battalions on this one, he's gone with Antorian Acolytes and a Warlord, ignoring the idea of a slow drop count. He's taken the Umbra Spell Portal, though, as his endless spell option. 2,000 points on the nose, 9 drop, and a global BCP ranking of 65111. Jason, thoughts?
Graveguard on paper look pretty decent. As soon as you get Hoarfrost on them, they become deadly. I underestimated them once, and it really bit me in the arse. So I am not worried. They will hold. They shouldn't go very far. Direwolves, yeah, they're fine. They're great. A nice little screen going on. Trueblades, I can't remember much about them apart from they were very powerful from what I remember.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to bring up the details whilst we're talking about them and everything, but they have some synergy and opportunity there.
They've got a decent number of attacks in there, and then Manfred is a combat Archon from OBR. He can fight, he doesn't have to fight, he can run away quite happily, he heals.
Well, he ignores like the first wound or mortal wound in each phase, you know, he has that with him.
So he doesn't go anywhere.
No, he doesn't. No.
It's a different sort of list, which is nice. It's not just zombie spawn.
No, exactly. Yeah, so like for example, the Askurgan Trueblades and everything, they have this thing which is called the Hunger. So each time this unit fights, after his attacks have been resolved, he can heal a number of wounds allocated to this unit, equal to the number of wounds or mortal wounds caused by them. And then, if we remember correctly, they also have Gut-Wrenching Howl, which at the end of the charge phase, if this unit includes any Curse Bloods, which generally they do include at least one, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 1 inch of them and say that the Curse Blood will unleash its Gut-Wrenching Howl. If you do so, roll dice, add 1 to the roll for each Curse Blood in this unit, and on a 4-up, the Strike Last effect applies to that enemy unit. And also, they're pretty good on this one with Creed of the Beast, which is a -1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by enemy monsters that target that unit. And the other thing great about this is, in addition, each time an enemy monster is destroyed by attacks made by this unit, you add 3 inches to their move characteristic and 1 to attacks characteristics, and for the rest of the battle. And the thing is, that is accumulative. So if you kill more than 1 monster, they can kind of keep going up. And the idea that they essentially have, if they go with the paired Excursion Blades, 4 attacks, 3 threes, -1 for 1. And then they also have the option for the Elongated Claws and Slathering Maws, 5 attacks, 4s, 3s, -2 for 1. So if they start buffing up those attacks and everything, it can start rolling upwards and upwards. So yeah, now like Gitley said, he had the opportunity. He had the opportunity to play against Mark recently, and generally says that he's a good player. BTP ranking suggests that he certainly has the experience behind him. Like you said, Jason, with some of these spells like Spirit Gale that is going to be available to them, casting value of 7, it's board wide, And basically, you get to choose up to 3 units, which will suffer 1 mortal wound each. But if the unmodified casting rolls are 9 up, you can do it to 6 units. So that's pretty awesome. Waste Away is also a casting value of 6 in an 18-inch range. The effect is a -1 to wound and -1 to damage. Now, if the unmodified casting value is a 9 up, you can actually do it to 2 units instead of 1. So, yeah, this list has some variants in it. Any final thoughts there, Jason, before we move on?
No real final thoughts. Just it's nice to see Soulblight without zombies. Really, it's really nice.
Not that we have anything against zombies. Lord no, Lord no, Lord no. Mark, good luck with this one. Oh, the one thing we would say about Mark though, grand strategy. He did not select one. So, Mark, if you are watching,
he's put it in there since that's where I got Lust for Dominance from.
Oh, sorry, you know what? I'm just having a look on here. For some reason, my slide is suggesting it's not showing, but he has got Lust for Dominance. So,
I've updated it in the background. If you restart your slideshow, it will update, but don't bother doing that.
I will do that when we get to order. That's cool. Okay, yeah, good luck, Mark. We're now moving on to Jack Ship. He's taking the Virkos Dynasty as a sub-faction, which means that when a friendly hero fights, you can then pick a second unit Holy Win 12 to immediately fight afterwards. Pretty nice. And then his grand strategy is Empire of Corpses, which means that he has to 3 or more summonable units need to be replaced during the battle. Sounds easy, but has potential to kind of backfire on individuals when they're using it. His leaders, he has Torgilius the Chamberlain on there with a spell of Waste Away. So the Waste Away is the one that we just talked about with a casting value of 6 and 18-inch range with a -1 to wound and -1 damage. He has Radikar the Beast coming in, and then he has Kado Zekiar coming in as well, so that's a kind of nice addition. Vampire Lord, White King as his general, with a command trait of driven by Death Stench, which basically means he gets to re-roll charge rolls. It's a 9-inch bubble, so it doesn't affect just him, anyone that's wholly within that bubble. And then he also has the artifact of the standard of the Orphan Watch, which basically means as long as the bearer is on the battlefield, every time the enemy uses a CP, you roll a dice, and on a 4-up, you get an extra command point back in return. He then also has the Necromancer coming in. Battle line, he has 30 Death Rattle Skeletons, 20 Graveguard, 10 Graveguard, 2 units of 3 Fellbats. He's thrown these all into Battle Regiment and Antorian Acolytes, making him a 4-drop, 2k on the nose, with a global BCP ranking of 5950. Jason, there's a slight adjustments on this one from the other 2 lists we've seen. What are your thoughts?
Different sub-faction, which is nice. The addition of the skeletons, I like skeletons. Well, I play OBR, of course I like skeletons. I like their skeletons as well. With 30 block, once again, they'll go down, but they'll get back up. That's not going to go anywhere fast. Chuck them on an objective, you hold that objective, pretty much. Graveguard we just spoke about, Fellbat's bit of movement. It's the heroes in this one give some really interesting abilities.
Yeah.
So, Torgilius.
Yeah, Torgilius.
The Chamberlain. Yeah. Thank you. By the way, Scream, I'm terrible at pronouncing names of units, so you have to bear with me. He gives a 5-up ward save to summonable units wholly within 12. So chuck him near any of near the skeletons or whatever. 5-up ward save on them as well. It makes them incredibly tanky. Radikar fought him before and he is annoying. So if you charge here, if he charges, he gets +1 to the attack of summonable units wholly within 12 inches. Once again, keep him charge, get him charging and buffs up everything. It's -1 to hit and wound against him, and after he fights, he heals wounds equal to the damage inflicted up to a maximum of 6.
That's right,
so he heals himself quite nicely as well in the combat phase. And then Kado does exactly the same of healing, apart from it's only a 6-wound model, so technically it is a maximum of 6, but it's just done.
Yeah.
And then obviously the standard heroes, the Necromancer, the Vampire Lord, the White King.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone knows what they are.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, this one is kind of nice to see once again. Slight variance from the other two lists that we've seen, bringing in the Death Rattle Skeletons though instead of the Graveguard. Well, he has Graveguard, but in addition to them, he's got the movement and maneuverability with those Fellbats, helping with those battle tactics that are potentially out there for him. But with the introduction, of Torgilius in here, Radikar, Kado. Three heroes there that will help and benefit and synergize with those units around them. The idea of giving a 5-up ward just is crazy, particularly with those Graveguard. And also, actually, don't shut out the Death Rattles on this one. They can do some when they need to, too, on that occasion. And Radikar, like you said, Jason, he is a beast. That's why they call him the Beast. And he can do work and effort in the attack phase. So yeah, I would say the grand strategy is certainly a difficult one. I've certainly seen opponents stumble on it, but it's not impossible. But unless you've got anything else to say on this one, Jason, this one?
Nothing really to add apart from that.
No. Jack, good luck with this one. I think you can have a lot of fun with it. Going on to our final one, and we've got Michael Attali. We know this fella. I know, Jason, you've played against him before, haven't you?
Yeah. Forget the global ranking on this. I can't find you, but I know he's high up there.
We know he's good. Yeah. Is he Team France? I'm trying to remember if he's Team...
He, at very least, used to be Team France. I don't know if he is this year. I don't think so. Maybe.
No.
But he's at least a previous Team France player.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So certainly someone, do not take that BCP ranking of Dash as anything to be shunned at. He's pretty good. He's gone similar sort of setup as our previous list with the Vehicles Dynasty and the Empire of Corpses as his grand strategy. He's taken the Indomitable Triumph because he has the potential of it. In this one, though, he has taken a Necromancer as his general with the Shame of the Chilled Land, ensuring that he has access to all the Antorian spells. He also has opted for the additional spell of Waste Away, which we've already spoken about. He then has taken a second Necromancer with the Fading Vigor. The Fading Vigor is casting value of 6, 18-inch range, and the effect is a -1 attacks until your next hero phase on an enemy unit. And if you get above 9 on the casting roll, unmodified naturally, it's actually -2 attacks into your next hero phase on the enemy unit you select. He then has Belladama Volgo in here with the Spirit Gale spell, which is the one that does board-wide mortal wounds for up to 3 units, and if above 9 on the casting roll, 6 units. And then he has Gorslav the Gravekeeper, taking the artifact of the Ulfukani Phylactery. Now this is a +1 ward to the ward saves if wholly within 9 inches of the fella. And then he comes in, and guys, let's smile when we say this. He comes in with 10 Dire Wolves, 20 Skeletons, and then let's build this up, 20 Zombies, and then he wants to buff them up, 40 Zombies, and because we don't think that 40 Zombies is enough, let's throw in another 60 Zombies. Now, I can tell you now, that's not 150 points per unit there. That is doubled and tripled on that one. But core battalions, he has gone with the Antorian Acolytes, and then he's gone with 2 battle regiments, reducing his drop count on this one. Keeping it at 4 drop though, at 1980. My God, Michael, what are you doing to us? That is 120 zombies on the battlefield there. Jason, your thoughts, sir?
Firstly, Colonel Cabbage has said he is still in Team France. He's one of the strongest they have, and they came second at Worlds. So he very much knows what he's doing. I don't know why I couldn't find him. No. Ignore that. This list, wow, the amount of zombies in there. Even the ability, so Gorslav can bring back a summonable unit at half strength. Use it on the 60 zombies, there's still 30 zombies there. Which is still an insane amount. Huge board control, huge mortal wound chucking back at you. Good luck. Gorslav bodyguards into the zombies. Belladama bodyguards into the wolves, so they're not going to go anywhere. Yeah, and then I will say this because something I found really fun. Belladama's spell Lichen Curse, custom value of 7, range of 18. An enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, and if any models were slain, you can set up dire wolves within 3 inches of them, and the size of the unit is the same as the number of models slain. So, 1 wound models, you can just, bring back 3 wolves right next to them, and it's just, it's good luck trying to get through that lot. Really, it's a really, really strong list because just the board control, it just don't go anywhere.
No. I think Cabbage is correct on this one. You can see what will happen on this one. The board control, like you said, armies are going to struggle. You usually had like KO just pummeling the shots into these zombies and everything, just to try and stay outside that mortal wound range. The throwback. It's scary, but you know what? We can't blame the players for using the zombies for what they are. If there's any blame culture going on, it's the Games Workshop for not adjusting the rules on them. But guys, use them while they're there. Games Workshop are certainly aware of what they can do. And with that, if they think 150 points for 20 zombies is the correct score, who are we to argue with them? Michael is a fantastic player. We had it just confirmed that he is Team France and everything, so I could see this fella doing really well. Potentially 5-0, without shadow of a doubt. He'll be up with the pro players without shadow of a doubt. I think this is a very, very strong list in my opinion. So Michael, good luck. I think so. What have we got here? OJ saying, dependent on the draw, Michael has every chance of winning. He'll be my top pick. I can't blame you there, OJ 180. Yeah. We've gone through all the lists. This is one that stands out as a potential contender for top space without too much effort. Well, there'll be effort, but not too much effort. So yes, that brings us to the end of our death lists. So what I would say is great first setup for the death lists on this one. Some really good options there and some really strong contenders going into it. What we're going to do now, just so I can get our next co-host in, that'll be Russell, hopefully, is we're going to take a 10-minute reprieve, and then we'll come back in, and then Jason will be stepping out for a little bit, and then we'll be coming in with Russell, joining me as we go through the Order faction. So bear with us as we go in for the 10-minute break. Be back soon.